It is October 30th at 5:39 p.m. and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Sorry for the delay in getting us going. We're just making some adjustments because we're at the Lawrence Community Shelter tonight. First item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. If there are no changes to the agenda, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Next item on our agenda is a tour of LCS, and specifically, we're going to look at Pallet 24. That's the new construction that has been done and completed in the last couple months. I am going to transfer over to my cell phone with hopes that it allows us to continue the tour and everybody can be part of it. So fingers crossed this works. Oh, Misty needs to be let in. Sorry, Misty. Looks like you're in. All right. Hopefully, if you're not in, maybe Kim can let you in. Transfer.
Oh, there we go. So when we have people get there, this is not locked. It stays closed, but it's not locked. And we have we have a alarm on the gate. So when it opens, people know that somebody's coming in. But we have to have a way for people to get in and out of here without needing to be let in and out. So the fence is just to separate. It's not you can see, you can probably pull it up and go right under it. So it's not a deterrent. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that you can't have this locked. So we had 24 pallets. The design was to face them towards everybody coming the same way, to move toward like the center. So there's no different people going different ways and all that. And so it seems to be working out pretty good. Anybody want to pick a number, which one they want to see? They're all the same.
17.
It's fine.
Surprise us.
Yeah, 17.
We don't hand out keys when they come in. The GSAs let them in. Then they can lock it if they're in. If they're not, they smoke right there and come back in. But if you've been over to the campus on Michigan, these are identical. I think the most we've had out here is maybe 24, maybe, since we opened.
We
We
were at
suspect it started
25
up.
last night.
5? Okay.
25, yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Kim.
Kim, you can join in if you have anything you want to say about 24.
Okay. It's been going very well. I think all of the guests have been pleased. Their major concern, of course, is leaving in the morning, and we've staggered the time that we exit so that we don't have, 100 people at the bus stop. But we've been serving hot breakfast and coffee every morning and then hot dinner every evening. There's a group of regulars that show up about 6:30, 6:45. So I love going out and visiting with them, but it's going well. We have the expectations on the door, and
That's what I'm working.
And there's the architect of built-in dog kennels. Give me a number with the dog kennel. Kim, do you remember?
the first 6 up front are with the dog kennels. That architect would be Karen, who showed us how to do it, but they were something putting in. But it's the first 6 on if you go, horizontal on them.
I think she's on that.
That way,
Like 1, 2, 3 up front.
I'll buy the number.
Find number 1.
Actually, I know there's one that's on.
I know number one. Maybe the first thing going all the way across the.
Yeah, it is going horizontal. If you're looking from the DSA cabin.
Okay. And so one of the design flaws of these pallets is that they get condensation. And we've had a couple occasions where the condensation caused all the alarms to go off, and all the alarms are hooked together. So if one goes off and one, they all go off, and I like that as a safety feature. But it's also, if somebody smokes, then everybody gets alerted and has to leave out, but we have no way to reset it, so we have to wait until they actually clear themselves before they reset. So I think that's a design flaw, because there should be a way to reset them, and we don't have one. So we're working with Pallet they don't have the answer. They say, well, you need to buy fans to keep the condensation down. That's why you see the windows open.
Yeah.
So let me do that.
That is definitely a design flaw if you're there at 10 o'clock and all the alarms go off. It takes a while to get them off.
So like an exhaust fan, is that what they're
Well, just to
suggesting?
keep
Condensation. I
Well,
think having
condensation-
the dogs in too, gets a little bit more condensation, so we're asking that they crack their window a little more.
This is our DSA office. And we have cameras up in there. Two people. If we full, we have two people. One person can run this, what we're doing right now. And that'll be just like with weather and they're all full, we'll need two people out here.
These are the restroom.
Yeah. These are, I wish we had these at the village over there, because these are much better. We're in the point, I got a contractor to come out and look at the back, because the pipes are exposed to bid, how to enclose the pipes and insulate them.
Yeah.
Before it gets cold.
Yeah.
The pipes for the bathroom?
I think they're locked, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the access thing. I don't think they're locked.
This one is.
They shouldn't be locked.
Shower, those are regular, and then this one here is just a regular bathroom, no shower in it.
So there is a shower.
There's 3 showers and then just one bathroom right here in this ADA shower unit.
And if the bathrooms over at the village were like this, they would save a lot of money and a lot of it. So. Over there, we have to buy. Toilet paper, stuff in the box, you know.
In case of there here, where are folks going to
Anyone else want to check it out?
We don't have a tornado.
filter?
They come inside. I think one of the nice things about these bathrooms too is they have a built-in shampoo and soap combination, so that we're not reliant on donations for that pallet 24.
Even our.
Yes.
I
Oh,
think
right,
it's
right.
better than ours, 'cause that's on shelf.
And then I see you have one of the naloxone vending machines here.
Narcan vending machine. I had just thought, had an idea about putting a machine out here where they can buy their own sodas, and whatever they spend, we just use it to replace. Just so they have access to the chips or whatever, not to make money, but just to have it out here accessible. Just, all right.
All right. Anything else you want to show us?
You get the amnesty.
Oh, we see the amnesty locker.
Oh.
Those are amnesty lockers. So there's a code, we can open all of them, and people can set their own code. They come in, and whatever they have that's not allowed here, they can put it in there. We don't check to see what they have in there. But every day we check, make sure they're empty and cleaned out. So whatever they put in there, they have to take it with them. So it's not like long-term storage of illegal or weapons or anything like that. It's you coming in, as long as you don't have it in here, put it over there, you're good. So it gives people an opportunity to not break the rules, not have a reason to break the rules. People still find reasons, but we give them an opportunity to lock it up, that's great.
Are there amnesty lockers at the village?
No, but we're gonna put them over there.
Okay.
So you have room on a night by night basis for 48 people
I hear
here.
you. Yep.
Your night by night capacity inside is what?
We have just a total capacity. So it's like a flexible capacity. No, we can have 125 people on the inside. That includes monitors.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. If, let's say you've got X number of people in the 90 day,
We can have 95 night by night
Night
and
by
that
night.
subtract the monarchs out of that, however.
so
That's it, only if there's 12 in Monarch or more than that in Monarch, and they're not set up for families like they used to be. So that's why I say a total of 125 people, no matter what configuration for Monarch and inside, that's 125 people.
So 125 plus the 48 out here. So 223 is the total capacity?
That's 273.
Including-
Two,
Oh, the village includes the village?
Yeah.
Plus the other
So
50.
who stays in Monarch?
223 is on this campus.
People on medical respite, people that have high medical needs that would be beyond our scope of care. Like it's, case managers and things like that, they can live independently, but they have such high medical needs that they would be beyond our scoping side, so they have case managers that check them.
And
So just to get the numbers right, 223 is the total capacity at this site,
173.
173. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 125 plus 48. So 173, and then add 50 with the village. 223 is the system capacity then? Okay.
yes,
Hey, this is Misty. When we did the special use permit, we forgot to put in like we did
Extras?
previous, yeah, for winter emergency. That is something that we can go back and do, but I'm happy to help with that process, but we completely forgot that part.
So potentially,
We can add, like, we were able to go up to 140.
so,
here it's 140.
so
Yeah.
potentially add 15 more.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just for
And-
that inclement weather.
Okay. Any other questions or things we want to look at while we're here? Anything else you want to show us?
Here, no, it's pretty standard.
Okay, all right. All right, we are back and.
Anybody needs a reference, get him out.
Thanks, James. Next item on our agenda is the executive director's report. James.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? Pretty good? So I sent Charlie wanted for us to have a report on our social media and website. I sent you those documents. Can you pull those up from?
Sure thing. Give me just a second.
So we'll start today. Did everybody get a chance to look at them? I know everybody did their homework.
Am I on your list?
For what?
I don't know that I got that.
No, Charlie would have sent it out.
Should have been.
No.
You got it with the agenda or whatever you
Okay.
need.
I might have missed it.
There's just,
You want a hard copy?
there was a lot of documents.
Yeah, with a lot of documents.
Uh,
Are on there, maybe that I don't
Which one do you want to start with?
forget that.
The website report or the social media report?
It doesn't matter which one you start with.
Let's go with the social media because I have, oh, actually, let's go with the website. That one
Where's
just
our report?
jumped in.
Website first.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to flip to it, Charlie.
all right.
So this gives us an idea of our unique visitors, site sessions and page view. One of the things that I thought about when I got this was, would be good to compare this to what we had before, but we didn't have data and access to that data when we started.
Hmm.
So this is just data from what you can gather from the analytics from what we're seeing.
Okay.
So I don't have anything to compare it to, except it's itself, each month with
Mhm.
itself, so.
Mhm.
Um,
Do you think this is a monthly thing you can share out with us?
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay.
Yep, of course.
Let me go to the next page.
Yeah. just the basic overview. And it kind of talks about where the most of the hits came from. Of course, we got the most at Lawrence. If you see, there's one on there that's post
Port
Port
Angeles.
Angeles, that's in Washington, that's where Lizzie lives. That
Okay.
might be the time she logs on. I can't think that we have a lot of people that are fans there, so it might
And-
be the times that she logged in, so.
And Lizzie is the,
Website host.
okay, so that's her,
X.
she's the one doing our communications.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So this
Chicago.
gives an idea where we are, and I think we had some overseas on there too.
Hmm.
Forget where did, y'all remember where she said we had, overseas, I don't know, it's on this, but
All right.
we keep going.
Google search performance.
Yep.
35,000 times. In what period? In in 90 days? Wow. It's a lot of people.
But that doesn't mean they're Googling Lawrence Community Shelter.
Hmm.
It means anything that they Google that Google thinks
Could be low. So we're just,
could, it's just in the search results. It
Got
could
it.
be a lot of different keywords.
got it. Top pages in Google search results,
Of course, it's our homepage.
homepage.
But then volunteer, that's a good thing to see, that people going to the volunteer page, talk about our team, careers, for jobs, we post jobs of their open positions. And shelter and support.
Is this more of the same or just a different way to describe
way
the
to
same
say it.
thing? Top, okay. So these are the actual page visits.
Organic searches get the most traffic. Direct searches is second.
So is direct when someone
Lawrence Community
Like,
Shelter probably.
puts in the
Yeah.
website directly? Okay.
Organic is maybe shelters or homeless or,
Mhm.
and we do a lot of referrals on our referral page. I believe that's what that's for.
AI platforms. Interesting.
Yeah, that is very.
Be interesting to see if that continues to grow.
It will, and there's things you can do to get
To get more hits or.
hits there,
Okay,
and it's important to do it.
okay,
Is that something you can ask Lizzie to look into?
sure.
Like, it's kind of like the old search engine optimization, I guess.
It is, it's SEO for AI.
Interesting.
Okay. It's what, SEO?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think she has some suggestions at the end of this where she talks about what we need to keep up, what we need to do. So this is total for the year. I like the unique visitors, 7,979.
Mhm. All right, that was the last page on the website one. Let's go to the social media one.
So these are the top pages, the pages that got the most traffic, and they're not in
Okay.
order, the most traffic.
Okay.
They're just the highest performing, like in June of 2025, it was this page. That was Cheryl, she's been here the longest and she got an award.
Mhm. Oh,
Is Facebook the only platform?
No,
so I didn't notice any other, like most of these pages in the PDF were all Facebook posts, so maybe. Yeah,
I don't know if they're all.
they all look the same, so I think,
I think we post the same thing on every platform.
okay,
It'll,
so maybe
goes
the,
to both when you put it on Meta.
maybe the performance, like if she could give us some sense of the other platforms that we're using. Like,
I know we have
Be helpful.
Instagram, so
Mhm.
Facebook is what we're seeing,
We
Instagram.
tried, what was the one we couldn't get access to? We had to start over with an Instagram.
yeah,
We had so many followers on there, but we couldn't get access to it.
this
because
one really
somebody
impressed
wasn't-
me. So that's Aaron Thacker. But the reach was 20,000, which was a lot higher than any other post. That was, I guess, a story that got people's attention.
And these posts are being made by Lizzie.
Mhm.
Mhm.
you guys send her content and she does it weekly or?
We tell her here's some content and she puts it in a format and posts it. On this one spurred a lot of conversations about, in the community, pro and con. This one was really, you saw two opposing sides making a lot of comments back and forth where should people be housed or should they not be housed? Should the city be paying for it? Should they not be paying for it? It was bad, sorry.
159 comments, so yeah.
It's bad.
Well, sometimes that's what social media does, right? Just gives people a chance to have a conversation.
The ratio was good though, because the reactions to the post were higher and they were generally good reactions, whereas the comments were not. But guess that's like a thing now is look at the ratio. Are the comments bad, but like that everybody's interacting with it and they either care about it or they like it or they love it or whatever. And so there were a lot more of those kinds of reactions than there were negative comments. I mean, it is kind of jarring to see those.
You also look at those negative comments and see if it's the same three people
Yeah.
repeating over.
It-
Yeah,
Well, you know, like if you don't have a lot of different users commenting negatively, you just have three people that keep.
Yeah, sort of digging into
And
the
then a lot of
conversation.
people comment on the same initial comment.
Mhm.
It spurred a lot of other comments and threads, so.
I think it's nice to give those shout outs to community partners. That's a good one. Hey, Kim, there you are.
Did we post her barbecuing one too?
No. I don't think so.
Was my favorite one.
I don't know that I was allowed to send that, but that's my favorite one.
There
Well,
is one of me barbecuing somewhere in here.
This got a lot
Megan
of views.
loves
99.
Tracy
Really
pictures.
concerned and had interest in Pilot 24.
But again, like look at the ratio, your
Mhm.
reaction
Yeah.
to it and the comments.
Well, maybe there's just something to learn from that. It is the newest thing we've done, so. This one didn't quite get the same traction, but similar kind of content around Ballot 24. Looks like, here's another Ballot 24 one, but didn't really get the same comment level. So maybe that's some indication of people that said what they wanted to say.
And I think during the time where we opened, there was a lot of conversation about camps closing, so it was a hot topic.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of what fueled a lot of that, and I think that's what started a lot of the back and forth stuff. So.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's about the top performing metrics. Recommendation. Pretty basic.
So the schedule is twice a week, essentially. Okay.
Minimum twice a week.
I think adding others as guests or partnerships, so when you tag, say for DECA, you tag in them and then include them, as Facebook gives you an option for them to be a partner or contributor to the post, and then it just continues to spread itself and on the platform too. That just gives more eyes and lenses to the content. I'm sure Lizzie is doing a really good job of making sure of that too, and tagging others in there.
I think that's the last page. Term.
Okay. All right, anything else?
It's great if board members like and share. They
Yeah.
see it come up, please share it.
John's always there first.
You know that?
Yeah, I was like, all right, go
That's
for it,
good.
John.
That's good.
Spend a lot of time on Facebook,
Dude.
maybe.
No, I really don't.
Okay,
I honestly don't.
well, you
But,
must have LCS content going front and center.
That's good.
oh, you know, I look at notifications,
Oh, okay.
you know.
I'm
and
not on Facebook
If
enough.
they got notifications and LCS pops up as a notification, so.
All right, good job.
I
All
just
right,
want to say that I really enjoy working with her. She's very professional. She's great to work with. You ask her to get something done, she gets it done. She's been fantastic. So,
That's also some of our work, we'll talk a little bit about the gala. What time you have to leave?
probably around 6:45.
Okay,
Curious too, have you explored a YouTube page? I was thinking about the publication.
yeah, we have a YouTube page. We have a YouTube page. That's where we post, we posted the board meeting.
That's
We used
true.
to, still do, but we have a YouTube page. We had started the We Are LCS campaign and then we got distracted and doing different things, but it's still there and we can revive it at any time and we might do that. So especially we're gonna gain some traction with social media after the gala. We have some new content and we're gonna go back at it pretty strong. So,
yeah, I think if you go to the YouTube channel now, it's mostly just our meetings. So,
we can fix
Alright.
that. So for the board demographics and program outcomes, I put in there the quarterly reports. Just as, because everybody has access to it, but I just wanted to send that. Because I know I send quarterly reports every quarter and it was the demographics, but I have the individual demographics, but I have some highlights from what we did in September that I want to talk about. We housed 8 people in total, 5 from the 90-day program and 1 from the village, and 2 from our night-by-night program. So we don't just house people that are in our 90-day program or at the village. We house people whenever they're ready to be housed and they want to work with our case management. We try to get them out. Actually, we're out of rapid housing money right now, so we're housing people the best way we can if they have vouchers or if they have savings, and we're connecting with landlords. So that's what we're doing now since we're out of rapid housing money. We do have we're scheduled to get rapid housing money. We already have a grant that's been approved. We just don't have our grant agreement, so we're not spending the money that we don't have a grant agreement for because we can't get reimbursed until we do that. I mean, we could spend it, but I always wait till we get a signed grant agreement from the city. Our 6 exits from 90 day in September, 5 of those went into housing, and that's really good. And only when 1 person went into rehab, so there were no loss of services from 90 day in September. Well, that's good. I won't say that for October, but that was good for September. We had 81 unique night-by-night participants that attended at least 15 plus days. That's up 19% from August. So we have people staying longer in night-by-night program, which is pretty good. 43 different individuals stayed at Pallet 24 since opening on September 12th, and it's averaging about 15 guests per night. And you heard Kim say that the most we've had was 25 at one time. Our average LCS occupancy is 175 bed nights a day, with a peak of 311. That includes all of our programs.
is that average over what period?
Over just for September.
Okay.
Okay, say that again. Now, 175 people
Bed night.
bed
So every
nights,
night.
and that's among. Does that include the village too?
That's every
Okay.
night.
Okay,
So out of the
so that's
2
90 day,
something
night by
there.
night,
Yep.
village,
Mhm.
Pallet 24.
Yep. And I think we had the peak of 211 at one time. So, in one night.
Getting
That
close.
across all the programs.
Yeah.
I think that with the weather changing, the colder it gets, the more we'll be up around capacity.
Mhm.
And we'll really start to see the trends when the weather changes. You can actually see the occupancy go down.
With the special use permit, that possibility of getting 5 more
15.
or 15 more, I'm sorry. Is that, I mean, I'm sure that takes a while. Is that a process we can get started to get?
Sure. I think
Mm,
Yeah,
We
get
can,
that
we can
started.
get it started, but it probably wouldn't be done until April.
That's what I was worried
Like,
about.
like no joke, but we
No,
can
I
talk.
understand that's,
One
Yeah.
of the things we're doing is for the warehouse, the bid went out for the remodeling for the warehouse. The bid went out. And so in that bid, we had the engineers tell us where to place beams
Mhm.
for the fire suppression or smoke detection. And once we do that, I plan to revisit with the fire chief and talk about our special use. And what he had said before is that he would let us have occupancy in the warehouse because we have power watch 24/7. But he suggested that we get the beams and we do that. So
Mhm.
that's going. As soon as if it's in there, as soon as we get the bid with the contractors, we're gonna have the beams put up. And then I'll meet with them and talk about our occupancy and all that. The way we talked last year, he was okay with us, with people in there because we're 24/7.
Yeah.
And he came out and said that. So I will talk with him again and see.
is there any chance that it could go higher than just the 15 additional?
It depends, and he said something, we should go high as we need it to be for the weather, just so we don't ever have to go back and increase the beds again.
That's
It's the only thing it would depend upon is the bathrooms.
right.
That's why we're getting three new ones out there, which new one with showers. So
So do you have a sense of what the capacity, full system capacity could get to if all that work is
I
done?
don't know the formula. I think it's 15 per toilet or something like that.
Yeah, 15-1.
So, and I think I knew this number 6 months ago. I think we have the capacity to have more based on the toilets we have.
Okay.
Toilets are toilets, and it doesn't count for showers or anything like that. It's basically just toilets. So
And we'll just be adding one extra toilet in that area. There's already two, so.
Okay.
I just want to say before, just talking about space, before John tries to open another winter emergency shelter, don't let him do it.
You know, he's over here sweating just listening to this conversation.
Please don't let him do it.
You
We
can tell
have-
in my line of questioning.
We have we still have that other church, and they have called several times wanting to know if we need them or. So I promised John last year that was the last year. So hopefully he listens.
Okay.
class attendance, we've had a total of 325 total attendances for the month of September. That's from 45 guests across 28 sessions. That is pretty good. And 10 people received help in September getting vital documents. That's birth certificates, identification, social security cards, all kinds of things. Okay, that's all I got on the
Alright.
demographics. And
Anybody have any questions for James?
I
Okay.
want to reiterate about the bid process that went out on Monday evening. I know that as of yesterday, there were about 5 potential bidding contractors.
Okay.
So they needed a minimum of 2 bids to make it a valid bidding process, and they're going to take the lowest bid.
Okay.
The process is it's going to run for 14 days. Once they close it and the city picks the contractor based on the low bid or whatever parameters they have. And then my next step will be to enter to a contract with wherever they pick. And then they would pay the contractor, we used to pay directly from the city.
For the, based on our board financial policies, a contract of, I think it's 20,000 and above needs to be, well, if it goes to above 30,000, the whole board has to approve it. If it's between 20 and 30, the exec committee can approve it. I'm
It's gonna be
assuming
more than that.
I'm assuming it's gonna be above the
Hopefully
30.
more than that. Hopefully it's
Well, we need to,
300,000.
well, timing wise, will we need to plan for a special meting to
Depends on
get that
how
approved?
fast they move.
Okay,
I'll know more. Kaden said she's gonna keep me up to date with it.
okay,
And once she tells me, 14 days, I'm gonna contact to see how long should I expect. So I can give you some indication of what the timing should be
Okay.
to do that.
I think what we'll need to do is probably just, I mean, I'm thinking if it's just that particular need, we would call a special meeting, probably do it by Zoom, just pretty quick, just get in there, get the contract in front of us to approve it.
Can the body give the exec team the permission to that? Cause we meet every week.
Well, I
Would that be
suppose, I don't know, I
outside?
think, it's in our policies that when we passed that we wanted some flexibility for exec, but at the time we said, it was only an additional, I think the thresholds are 20,000, and below is executive director. And then at that time, the board said, what about the exec committee having a little higher threshold? And then 30 was what we set, so. I don't know, how do you guys feel about making any decision tonight to change that? It wouldn't be. I think we'd have to decide we want to not follow the policy.
I mean,
Anyone,
I guess the question is, do people mind hopping on a Zoom meeting to do the approval?
that's, yeah,
Might
I
be
feel like,
easier to do that,
I think
but-
it'd be pretty straightforward. We wouldn't need to do it in person.
And we're talking from here to what's the end date deadline or what's
It's
time?
14 days from the time the bid opens till it closes.
Mhm.
Once it closes, if they have at least 2 bidders, they pick the lowest bid, I'm assuming.
Right.
And then once they pick that, then it's up to us to enter into a contract with them for the work. And then they get paid directly from the city and not us. We don't have to give them any money or anything like that. That's between them and the city.
But you have to sign a contract
We have to sign it.
and we're paying it then.
We don't have any money.
So help me understand, like what if there's a contract with no dollar amount, then I wouldn't think we would need to approve it.
That's what I thought, but when we met with the city, they said that's the process.
So just kind of make sure everybody understands this bidding process is being managed by the city, which is why it's a little bit unusual. So
Yeah, that'd be unusual about this one.
I think we wait until we get to that moment, and when you get clarity on if the contract is committing LCS to pay for something above that threshold, then
Yeah, we wouldn't.
we'd
you
have
know.
to
And one of
have a
the,
meeting.
one of the things I did in order to avoid having to go over is have them bid the whole project in 2 parts.
Mhm.
The most important part for us is to have the bathroom remodeling and the showers. The storage, secondary, we need it, but not as much as we need the bathroom. So if they bid in 2 and somebody bids it both, if one of them causes it to be more than how much do they have? 300, I think it's around about 300,000, something like that. If it's more than that, we do get the bathrooms done. Cause we don't have any money to negotiate any overages or differences or anything like that, so
Okay,
that's why I wanted them to split the project.
Yeah, can I add something to this
Sure.
discussion too? When we met with the city, our primary concern has been cash flow. And so when we were talking with Caitlin, she said that, this would be on a reimbursed basis. And so whereas when we were doing pallet 24, they funded us all of the money for the project. We were able to make payments directly to the contractor. In this case, because it's CDBG funds, they would be doing it on a reimbursement basis, and because the city has the funding to be able to obtain the reimbursement for that, and we don't have that flexibility. I did ask if they could we would need to sign the contract because the work is happening here, we are appropriately the customer. But the city is funding it, we are the beneficiary, and so, right now, we are out,
6,000.
well, it's more than that now because we just paid PC. So I think we're at like $24,000 in the hole for this project on engineering, firm costs. Which once the bid period is over, we can submit to them for reimbursement, but. That was the thing that I really stressed is that because we don't have the funding flexibility like we had with Pallet 24, that I would have rather them take care of it. We already are in the hole with PEC, and those invoices, but we can submit those to the city for reimbursement. Everything else, we've asked that the contractor bills the city directly with us as
Okay.
the beneficiary, so that is why that is how it is.
Then maybe we won't need to have a meeting. That's what I'm hearing.
I
Just-
would say though that you guys should still have a meeting because again. James will need authorization for this contract and because it has the sum of money on it, then you need to authorize him that he
Okay.
has approval.
Well, it's just, I think, plan for the possibility of a special meeting if we need to do it because of timing. All right,
One of the things I'll try to do is get some more information on Caitlin on what the structure of that contract will look like or something like that. But she said this is something they've done before, so it's a pretty standard bidding
Yeah.
process for CDBG.
all right. Our next meeting will occur rather quickly because this meeting got pushed back a week. And then November and December, the week, those are a week earlier. So
So we-
we'll be meeting again probably about 3 weeks, I guess. So maybe that timing will work out perfectly, but we'll make sure there's not a delay because of us. What I'm trying to emphasize. All right. Let's move down to finance report. Aaron, do you want me to pull up anything particular?
And then look at the financial statements. Jump around my notes.
Where do you want me to start?
We'll start here, our cash position at September 30th was 485,795. It's down from 786,000 in August, mostly due to timing. We did receive our Q4 payment in October. But net assets at the end of September was 3.6 million, and we are operating at a net loss year to date at September 30th, 120,990. Current liabilities increased, so if you go back up, oh yeah, you're there, sorry, my bad. Alright, so here you'll see the current year net earnings, negative 120,990. Current liabilities has increased to 221,241. That is because there's a slight accounting adjustment. Okay. Payroll is now accurate and accrued through September 30th. And so we'll get to that part in terms of budget actuals. We're still under. So but that's being reported correctly now.
Would you mind, for anybody that hasn't really paid attention to the shift to accrual-based accounting, can you explain maybe how this is different than what we were doing?
Okay, so previously to LCS being a component unit of the city, LCS's accounting was on a modified cash basis. So basically, we were reporting expenses when they happened. And you would think that's pretty standard. That's how most people operate from their own personal bank accounts. I either have the money and I can spend it or I don't, right? The modification comes in where you're able to put on there things that you know are gonna happen. To modify your financial statements and make your stakeholders aware of what's gonna happen. But since being a component unit with the city and a lot of our federal grants require GAAP compliant financial statements, which are accrual basis. So accrual basis means that you're gonna record your receipts and your expenses when you know about them. So let's say, for instance, you have a bill, but it's not due until November 15th. We're gonna record the bill as occurring in October, because that's when we know about it, that's when it was invoiced and that's when the work was done. But the money doesn't come out of our account until November. And so the way that we handle that is there's gonna be on our liabilities an accounts payable line, which you'll see there. And then accrued payroll for the end of the month. So accounts payable is just a reserve. This is what we owe, which we owe at September 30th, $105,000 to various vendors. And so then the other side of that is gonna be on our profit and loss. And so the way that just in general in accounting, it focuses on the matching principle. So when you're putting something in, there's always two sides. You're gonna have a debit and a credit. And it seems kind of weird to think about it that way, but you can't, when you're thinking about your banking, it seems like it's one-sided, right? But there's two things that are really happening. Your cash is coming out and it's being expensed somewhere. So you could apply this personally, but nobody really thinks about it that way. But everything that's happening on the balance sheet corresponds to something that's happening on the profit and loss and vice versa. The balance sheet, though, it really shows us where we're standing as a whole. Whereas and we don't, for nonprofits, we don't call it balance sheet, we call it the statement of assets and liabilities, right? And then our profit and loss would be the statements of revenues and expenditures. So that shows us how we're doing for the year. Every year, our profit and loss statement starts back at 0. But our balance sheet rolls forward because it's an accumulation of all the activity that we've done since we've been in existence. And so going back to the accrual thing, that's a big deal because when you're on accrual basis, you have a more accurate picture of what's going on. When you're on cash basis, you're a little bit flexible on how you're reporting things as they happen, right? So as they're happening in your bank account, I should say.
Right.
As they happen, that's accrual basis. We want to report it as soon as we know about it. We want to know how bad things are going to be in the future, how good things were in the past, or however. It just gives you a more accurate picture. And it also gives your stakeholders, and if we're going to be obtaining loans or anything like that, it shows them, okay, this is where their position is, and everything that they know about is reported. Every transaction that they know about, all of the receipts they know about. So our gala is coming up. Perhaps people won't be paying that night. Maybe they are making a pledge, so we don't have the money up front, but we're reporting their pledge as if, because we know about it. They're saying that they're promising to pay us this money. And so we're going to report it as if we received it, even though we haven't actually received it. The way that we see that is when you go back up to the assets part, there's the accounts receivable. So a pledge would be an accounts receivable entry. But then on the profit and loss, it would be on the pledge line. So, and all those accounts have already set up for our dealer. But that's just the biggest thing is when you do accrual, you want to accrue everything that you know about through the end of the month. So I know that payroll for September wasn't going to be paid until October. And so I need to record those things so that we're accurately showing on our financial statements, this is how much we've extended in payroll year to date. It's a very accurate reporting of accounting.
So thanks for trying to explain it. I know it's difficult for a lot of us to understand. Would it be fair to say if I know I owe something, it's going to show up on these reports now?
Yes.
Even
Yes.
if I
Haven't paid it.
haven't paid it. So this kind of tells us a little better of what have we made obligations to pay?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's no like mystery in that. You're not like waiting for an invoice. And even if you are waiting for an invoice, for instance, that would be something that you would have an account for and to say, okay, when I got a quote, it was this, I haven't received an invoice for it, the work is done. So anything that, it's kind of also why there's a window after the month ends. You're hoping that everything gets tied up so that you can close out the month. And you say, okay, now this is everything that I know about, and it should give your vendors enough time to bill you for work that they've done. That you may not necessarily owe at the time, but you know about them, you know that that's an expense that's happened, that you're gonna have to pay for or will have paid for.
All right. Thank you for giving us some more description of it.
It's very good for a nonprofit with a board. Because we can get an idea, you know, if there are invoices and they wouldn't show up on a cash basis, like if they hadn't paid them yet, if they're like, oh, we're holding off on this, we're not gonna pay it for 3 months because we don't have the cash right now, you know. We may not know that outstanding debt exists.
Yeah.
You know, but now it's gonna show up at least on there so we can see the big picture is this money is a thing.
All right. What page do you want me to go to now, Karen?
So, I just wanna highlight that. Excuse me. So, okay, we go back up to, the assets, yep. Okay, so then there again, there's that accounts receivable. So let's talk about, construction in progress, because you'll notice that it is several $100,000 less than it was last month. And that is because okay. I will, have Charlie, when we're, done, I'll have Charlie come back to your question, Joel. Okay, so for capital projects, the way that capital projects are recorded is they're not yet an asset until they're placed in service, right? So we started construction on pallet 24 in July. I started reporting things there, I think even before that too, because of the engineering cost that we had. And so now that they're placed in service, I've moved them to fixed assets. There's a caveat to this though, so $686,649 have been moved out of construction in progress to fixed assets in either building or equipment and have started being depreciated. The caveat is that we, LCS, did not pay for the pallets. So I'm still waiting on information from the city so that we can record the transfer of those assets from their books to our books. And that's really important because again, as a component unit, we need to show that that transfer happened. It's not like we got those for free, right? And we need to have those accurate costs. Again, for grant purposes or for lending purposes, we want to show the true value on our balance sheet of what we are working with here.
Hey.
So that,
I just want to jump in on that real quick. We're actually looking at selling those to you for like $1. We're gonna check with our commission to see, that way it would be a asset for you guys and because what the way that was requested of us, like our finance department is having a hard time figuring out how to do that, so we're looking at just selling them.
okay,
But
Well, and this is Shannon, and we deal with quite a bit of property, and if you want them on your depreciation schedule and all of that kind of thing, they've got to have some kind of value.
right. So
And-
yeah, that was my initial ask of the city is, what are they worth? You know, they weren't in use. So my understanding is that the costs that they paid is what we can record. However, to Missy's point, we would be having to buy it from the city. But the actual recording, I'll have to figure that out, the way that it applies accounting rules. But I would record the actual cost of the pallets. And then as far as the city's concerned on the transfer, it sounds like they wanna do like a really cheap transfer of quote unquote selling it to us for $1.
Okay.
So that's the caveat that those fixed assets are not on our assets sheet yet, because I'm still waiting on the information. And then also for how the city wants to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where to draw from.
At the discard pool or actual pool.
Misty, were you trying to say something else?
No, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, then also my disclaimer, all bank accounts, prepaid accounts, liability accounts are reconciled monthly. There have been no unexplained differences. I provided all my bank reconciliations to Charlie for oversight and transparency to ensure the reliability and accuracy of these financial statements. Let's go now to our statements of revenues and expenditures.
Question that Jill had, is that appropriate now?
Let's go back to that. Cause it kind of. Okay, what's your question, Jill?
I apologize. I'm looking at the financial statements, the materials on my phone while I'm at soccer practice, so I apologize. But I'm trying to understand on the ESG, the federal grants, what's the total amount that we have for this year and what's projected for next year?
So for ESG specifically,
Yes.
so for ESG specifically, we had about $56,000. However,
Is there a page I should go to for that? Is there a certain page I should go to?
go down to the actual versus budget. So keep going.
Wait, stop. You were, go back.
ESG grants.
Total monthly.
It's January, so keep going. All right, so I want to show you this because it looks like we didn't receive any money this year, right? And so this is that whole wonky how things need to be reported under GAAP and under FASB also, and revenue recognition rules around federal grants. So grant funding, you'll see out to the 2025 budget, we had 56,500. For CDBG, we had 158,240. I think that combined. Gosh, I'd have to look at the grant agreement, honestly, but when you look at the September actuals and also the January through September 2025 actuals, it looks like we didn't receive any money. The way that grants are recognized in accrual-based accounting is just, as I mentioned earlier, once we know about it, they're fully expecting that you're going to receive 100% of that grant. And so they're going to recognize it in the period that you know about it. So in this case, we got the grant agreements in 2024. ESG and CDBG funds were fully recognized in 2024. So it kind of messed up the way that they're presented, our financial statements are presented in 2025. That doesn't mean that we didn't get the money, because we did. We submitted all of the reimbursement requests for CDBG, so we've received all of that funding. And for ESG, you'll see here that we have $7,908 there. That is what was remaining for us to draw down, and that has since been drawn down, and we've received that money. So ESG that we received for the 2024-2025 grant year has been fully extended, as has the CDBG.
Can I
So-
ask? Oh, go ahead, Jill.
So
Your- your
what
piece.
was the total? Can you just tell me what was the total amount of the the last award. Do you have that? Did you say 54?
For
Thousand?
ESG, it's 56,500.
Okay, so is there a projection of what would be applied for in 2026?
Yes, so for 2026, let me get my handy calculator.
It's already been acknowledged that there's an amount that should be coming.
I think it's 53,000. It's less than what we got last year.
It's 56,787. There's gonna be shift though. The projected shelter funding for the ESG grant is 31,906. And the projected rapid rehousing that we have is 24,881. So flip flopped. Normally we would get 20 some odd thousand for shelter. And then over $30,000 for rapid rehousing, but they flipped it for some reason this next year.
Well,
Okay.
and where
And I have a follow-up question to that, just our concern that I want to make sure we talk about those funds. But
Go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Liz.
Shannon.
Oh, Shannon.
yeah, so I mean, we're in a similar boat with the city and the pass through for home funds. And so we just got our contract. Have you all seen your contract?
No.
Not this year, no. We got an announcement that we were awarded the funds and we know how much we were awarded, but we have not gotten a grant agreement.
Okay.
And the ESG grant is a reimbursement grant. So although we get every dime we get, we spend it, we use our money, we get it back. So just want everybody to be clear on that one.
Yeah, our home grants are reimbursement too. And we run them out over 2 years for transitional housing. So so it's really weird because what you're going to say is I have a 2025 CDBG grant or ESG grant, but you're not really spending that money until 26.
Right.
And so with that, we're doing something different this year with our CDBG grant. We got an award that started in September, I believe. And we're not gonna use that until next year, so it all goes on next year's books. So we can.
I need to contact our auditors to talk about this piece because again, even though the grant period started for the CDBG funds, which we received and James signed the grant agreement, it's $112,858 also on a reimbursement basis. The grant agreements period and the spending period started on September 18th. However, we don't plan to use any of those funds until 2026. I still need to reach out to our auditors. Been kind of helping Megan a lot with gala things, but I need to reach out to them to see if because we don't spend any of those grant funds in the year that we are awarded them. So in this case, with the 56,500 for this year that we had planned, they recognized it in 2024, even though we didn't spend any of the money until 2025. I'll need to talk to them to get clarification around that. If we can say, okay, well, revenue recognition will say this, but we are not spending any money and we are not submitting any reimbursements for those funds until we're actually projected to use them in the following year. Can we recognize those revenues at least on the first of the year rather than at the end of the year of 2025?
Can I
Outstanding question.
Go ahead, Jill.
Yeah. Okay. So beyond the technicalities of how it shows up and how it comes in, and I appreciate you explaining all that, Karen. I think a larger consideration that I want to make sure I'm raising is that there are components of compliance related to those ESG funds that are increasingly causing a lot of questions and concerns amongst staff, county, city staff, and I believe some conversations even with LCS staff. calling into question our ability to operationalize the non-resident policy regarding longer term shelter stays and even housing services in the community. Douglas County has a permanent supportive housing HUD funded grant, and I would just say that there's a lot of scrutiny from KHRC around how we are operationalizing that non-residential service policy. That's a policy that I think we've talked about in this space before. And, you know, whether it's we have a conversation tonight or at a future meeting, I think some really serious conversations need to be had related to, is it worth accepting these federal dollars any longer, given the restrictions that it's going to place on our community to be really thoughtful about how we prioritize services. Those longer term shelter stays, we would, you know, still continuing respite stays and things like that. But I would just say that there's some real concerning conversations, and we're giving that a lot of consideration at a staff level.
Yeah.
Jill, thanks for bringing that up. I think that
And-
is an important discussion point for the board.
And Jill, are you talking about the legal status of people?
No.
Not being residents. You know, Misty, if you can just do like a high
Yes.
level of what is the non-residential, non-resident policy that's in place, and how does that impact LCS?
Yes, Shannon, it's our resident policy where if someone comes from Wichita and they want to move to Lawrence, they cannot just enter into our sheltering system and receive case management because we are prioritizing Douglas County residents.
Right.
So
Nothing to do with immigration status. That is no way, shape, or form what we're talking about here.
no.
Okay, great.
So what Kansas Housing Resource Corporation has said to me is that policy is too restrictive, and because that money is supposed to serve everyone in Kansas, if somebody shows up, that we should be serving them. And to me, like, my award was like $30,000 or something around there. In no way am I going to accept $30,000 and change that policy and then just be right back serving the whole state of Kansas.
Yes.
So
And the Manhattan shelter is in the same situation. Misty and I spoke with her yesterday.
Yeah. So we will, you know, I'm having some conversations trying to figure out how we can replace that money, hopefully from a partner in the community or you know, business owners, somebody. I don't know yet, but we can't go backwards.
What can you give us some sense of, like, why is this feels like a change? Is it actually a change?
Yeah. So there was some agency that partners with us doesn't like our policy, so they reported it, and then that report led to Kansas Housing Resource Corporation saying that policy was too restrictive, that we need to serve anybody that shows up at our doorsteps.
And this agency, they have control over the funding. Is that why
They do not? They do.
matters? So why does their opinion matter? Help me understand that.
I wish I understood it too, Charlie, but I don't. And so when we talked to the Manhattan shelter yesterday, like, she told us, she said, well, I have a residency policy too. I allow people to stay 2 days to figure something out. And I wrote that into my grant, and I was awarded, even though I wrote that into my grant. So she's not understanding while we're having difficulty with it. But basically, the representative from Kansas Housing Resource Corporation stated, if anybody gets ESG funding, that they will have to take anybody that seeks services for them.
And how is Kansas Housing Resource Corporation attached to this?
They are the pass-through agency that receives the ESG grant from the federal government.
From the federal.
Okay.
They actually are the state recipient of all housing grants for the state.
Okay.
And so they are the default balance of state of the ESG. So every jurisdiction that is not of a certain size gets, they don't get direct ESG, so it goes to the balance of state. And so that's what they manage, the balance of state COC.
And we're
And we're part of
small
that.
because
Yep.
and we're small
We're not
to be-
small, we're big enough to be our own, but Lawrence defaulted and wanted to join the balance of state years ago.
and we
Yeah, I
get-
think somebody retired that used to manage it.
Margie.
Yeah,
Say that again?
Say that, sorry, I couldn't understand. Was that Misty or Shannon?
both.
Well,
All right, Shannon, do you want to say what you had to say?
well, and I know it's not, I mean, I know it's not in the regs for ESG.
Yes.
It's not.
Shannon, you're right. And they admitted that it is not in the regs for ESG, but they felt like it was their policy. It was their feeling that it was too restrictive.
Because
Well,
about,
Willow will have this problem too, and they're lumped into
And-
ESG.
But that's
also.
why this doesn't, there's no merit to this, because what they're saying is if they send somebody to Lawrence from anywhere in the state, we should take them.
And Willow won't do it either. so
And nobody will do it because, what the way they came at us at first was they said that Lawrence Community Shelter is out of compliance because we don't take referrals from coordinated entry. That's just a process in the system, in the HMIS system. But we take our own people. And so we have a population that is eligible for all the wrap-free housing anywhere. They're in our shelter. So we take people directly from our shelter to our wrap-free housing program and house them. Now, we do that for anybody that's not in a program or anything, night by night, the village, anywhere. I mean, that comes to us, we take them and we house them. But now that we have a resident, they came at us saying that we don't do that. And that was the first indication. I told Missy, there's something wrong with this because we're not out of compliance. We've been working with, when I started, we weren't putting data into HMIS. We started in about 3 months in, we developed a process, we started putting data in the system. We worked directly with Kansas Statewide Homeless Coalition, so they can be here to help assist us to get that process started. We attend every coordinated entry meeting, we have people there. Nobody has ever said that we're out of compliance. We've been monitored by Kansas Housing Resources Corporation, we've been monitored by the city, and we've passed every monitoring visit. So when they said this, I said, this is not about that, it's gotta be about the residency policy. That was just me saying that.
Yeah.
It's not about
And just to be
everybody we
clear,
serve is eligible
And
for
you would
ESP.
know.
I do know.
yes.
I do
Yeah.
know. And so when I challenged them, they didn't respond to me, they won't answer my calls. And I just said, we're not out of compliance, we met with everybody. The person working at the homeless coalition knew what we were doing because she set it up like that so we can start getting everybody and getting all the 125 people we serve into the system. That's why there's a lot of changes in Douglas County, because we started putting data in there, which made the data more reliable, and we've been consistent with that. So it's been good. But what we won't do is take people from out of town to come here. Nobody does that. They don't send any, and if they do, every agency has the right to say, no, we won't take them. Because they cannot tell you who to serve.
And the whole structure, I'm just comparing this to the Willow because they are in the lump of the ESG
I know.
allocation to Lawrence. And every DV shelter in the state has a territory. And so it's gonna affect theoretically everyone because their territories are really firm for a reason. Because I mean, there's a lot of reasons.
There's a lot of reasons, right?
There's a lot of reasons, but the territories have always been firm, and that's been the way forever and ever.
And for all the time that I've known the Manhattan Emergency Shelter, they've always had a residency policy.
Right.
And we've never questioned that at all.
And I think one of the things that I think is I just want to raise for future consideration and is, as we have tried really hard to be responsive to the community concerns and even concerns of members of this board, that we are prioritizing funding and services for Douglas County residents. And if we're going to continue to stay focused on that to the greatest extent possible, we may be in this organization may be in a position, and the board may be in a position to say that if the approach to these dollars stands, to say we're not going to take these dollars anymore, but then that puts the organization in more of a pickle in terms of funding that has to be raised. And so I would just, for our community that wants us to be hyper focused on on Douglas County residents, we're just going to continue to need support to do that. We cannot rely on federal funds if this is the way it's going to be articulated.
I don't think this is gonna last.
You can't.
Well,
I hope so. I hope so, Megan.
I appreciate you bringing this to our attention, and anyone that's kind of tuning into our meetings, hopefully they've heard the message also.
And we're getting a lot of, I wouldn't say Misty and her team are getting a lot of pressure, even from different community partners on enforcing this policy. So I think it's not an easy policy to enforce, because we know that sometimes people come to our community, to seek out services that they can't get in their community, or because in the case of Willow, they're fleeing domestic violence. But I know that Misty's team, I know that the team at Willow work hard to be compassionate in terms of how do we connect folks back to their community, and do what's right, but still prioritize the resources that we have available for our community members.
Yeah. And I can't think of one other city in Kansas that is handling this in such a compassionate way like we are. Like, we say 3 days respite, but that 3 days only applies if we find a place for them in that 3 days. If we don't, I reach out to Kim or James and say, hey, like, we haven't found a place. We're still working. Can you give us more time? And they give us more time. Like, and so nobody else operates with this much compassion for people from other states, other cities. I mean, they don't even take this good care of their own citizens. So I think that's what's happening here is, they see the success that we've had. Great. Like, they've figured out the secret sauce, so they can keep figuring it out, because I mean, who wins? And I'm sorry, but combined between us and LCS, $80,000 is not enough to open the floodgates and to solve homelessness for the entire state and our neighboring state.
And we see how that worked out.
Yes.
And do we know who the real decision maker was on this?
Yes.
Because I wonder if we need to get like Marcy Francisco and some other people to help us and go, look,
I did send it to KDADS because I felt like it's Doug Wallace who made that decision, and he sent it to his legal department, and then they all agreed that our policy was too restrictive, even though we do offer services to everybody, just not the same services as we do our residents. So yeah, I don't understand. Like, we even asked them. He says, it's our consolidated plan, to serve all of Kansas, so we can't change our consolidated plan. But I know I'm getting off track, but when we submit our applications, we specifically say who we're going to serve with that money. But anyways, we asked them, well, can you change your consolidated plan? And they said no. So basically, it's like they're saying it is what it is. Like, take it or leave it. So I'm not taking it. But I'll figure something out.
Every resource in the state is going to have to kick back their money.
Well, or
If-
as long
if
as they don't, as long as they are
everybody to follow
willing.
the policy like they're applying it to us, but they're not, because that's not what this is really about.
Yeah, right. So
That's not-
if
Because that would mean
somebody,
they would tell every domestic violence, and the
Everyone in the
DV
state.
has they're carved out differently because of.
But the
power and-
territory,
yeah,
they're not
but-
open
but-
for the whole state.
Right, and so they have a lot of things conflated with coordinated entry and referrals. It doesn't say being referred to coordinated entry and having a referral in coordinated entry. It's two different things. A referral in coordinated entry means somebody's in a program. There's shelter programs, there's rapid housing, there's permanent supportive. Whatever program you're in, you can be referred to another program. And the coordinated entry is where you make those referrals. As coordinated entry, you say, this person meets this category and we're using the VIs for that. They meet, or we're using something like that. And they meet this category, they're eligible for permanent supporter, rapid housing, whatever program they're eligible for. You put a referral in the system and say they meet the qualifications. I'm referring them to a program. They don't say where that program is. They're saying that they meet the level to have a rapid housing program or a permanent supportive housing program, no matter where it's at. If there's one in the area, they can take that referral and say, oh, you've met the requirements. We have a spot, you can do it. They could never make somebody take somebody because there's other reasons why somebody's eligible at a program. ESG defines what's eligible for theirs, but it doesn't tell you you have to take everybody based on other things. And they said in the first letter that I saw, ESG does not specifically talk about residency. It's not in there. And that's why I said it's not in there. So they changed it and said that they had to do a substantial amendment or something like that. And they can do it if they wanted to. But it's not in there.
So they had an attorney on their end.
I don't think so.
Well, that's what they emailed us back and said that they had their attorney review the city's policy and stated that it was too restrictive.
Is the city attorney taking a look at this, or?
I mean, no, we're past that part. We're implemented, like, yeah. This policy is just like almost 2 years old. Like it's not new, but it's coming up because.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just
Yeah.
asking, like, if you got an attorney saying something and like no one's questioned this policy until now, right? So.
That's correct. Oh,
Too
yeah.
restrictive has to be based on a policy that limits restriction.
I guess I'd just
There's no
wonder
policy
if
that
the,
says that limits restrictions like that.
what
or
I'm asking
residency.
is this something that we can refer or ask support from the city attorney?
It may be worth having a look at, Charlie.
Or
You might be right.
county councilor, like someone that can help defend, like, we're not off base here, you know?
Well, and I want it equally applied, so everybody else has to.
That's where the problem would start. That's
Mhm.
where the problem would start.
Okay, well, I'd like to get us back on track with the agenda. I'm still doing our financial report.
Yeah, sorry I took it off
Um,
track, but I wanted to make sure I raised
No,
it.
it's a good conversation, Jill. I appreciate you bringing it up and making sure we're all aware of it and the community is aware of it.
It was still topical though, in terms of like
Yeah,
modified cash basis and accrual basis.
it is.
We needed to talk about that. I did
I
wanna.
I have a kind of a technical question. Staying with the line, the ESG line. Can you help me understand if the September actuals are recorded as 7908? How is the January to September actuals recorded as 0?
They said that, the grant was fully recognized in 2024, right?
Mhm.
Well, there's a journal entry that happens, and so in order for us to be able to record any receipts against this money that we've recognized in 2024, it is a credit balance. So if we go to look at last month, it'll look like there's negative 7,908
Okay,
in there. But that's not the case. That's what we had left to draw down. And so in the previous meetings, I would say,
Got
okay,
it.
it's not that we owe that, that's what we
Right.
have left to draw down. It's because this was fully recognized in 2024.
Right.
It's just a wonky thing that happens. But when we pulled together the ESG request for reimbursement, then it looks like it's positive now. But for the year, it's 0 because the revenue has already been recognized in 2024.
I think what I needed to understand is that when you add all the months together, they're not always positive.
It's going to zero
So
out
it
because
kind of
last
zeroes
month
out.
it's,
It was
Yeah.
negative.
It will,
Yeah.
it'll probably do our next month.
No, it'll be
it'll bounce up.
easier.
again.
There won't be
Yeah.
anything in October, but if you look January through September now, it's 0. Because January through September, there was a negative 7,900.
All right.
Or January through August, I should say. If we look at August, it'll say negative 7,908 year to date.
All right, what do you want me to navigate to next?
Let's go back up a page to talk about our abysmal news. Total revenues were 39,363 against a budget of 80,000. So substantial shortfall of 41,000. This is mostly again due to seasonality. I just read recently in one of my emails, I think it's like from Candid, said something like 40%, if not more, of a nonprofit organization's revenues come in the last 2 months of the year. So, again, for 2026, now that we have some really good data with zero, our board will be approving an annualized budget. But I will be able to split it out monthly based on having good data, projections. And so that it won't look like, oh yeah, we were expecting $80,000 total. That's not how the revenue trends work in a nonprofit. We'll have good data for next year. So just wanted to say that. For the month, we recognized net loss of 338,000. We did overspend. If you want to just scroll like slowly through this, while I talk about that. Trying to find. Of course, our largest expense is payroll. Going back to stating that we are accrued payroll through the end of September, we are still under budget. $199,000.
There's payroll.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah. So overall, salaries, wages, taxes, workers' comp, health benefits, and retirement plan contributions, we're still under budget 199,000. And that is mostly due to just our staffing capacity. We've had people come and go. It's something that we are constantly fighting with. Connie had asked me a great question about, if we were hiring right now. I said I'm not the person to ask, because then I'm reporting it, and it always comes back around to a budget situation, which of course we need to be mindful of, but we also need to make sure that we both have the money to sustain another staff person whilst we're also providing the services at the capacity that we're offering services right now. If you want to scroll down a little bit more, loan revenue is my favorite thing right now, because just through the end of April to now, we've raised $11,000 just by switching to that insured cash sweep and having interest earnings on money that's not being increased.
That's great.
Which is excellent.
I
The
think-
sad thing right now is that interest rate is falling. So
Yeah. But what's also important on that, going back to that decision, we had there was enough funds in our bank account that we actually exceeded the FDIC insurance cap. So
We had.
that insured cash sweep was really needed as a technical move, just to make sure that all the funds were secured. And it also earns us interest.
we weren't earning previously. I think we had talked about ways to really capitalize on unused money that we were receiving, especially since we are receiving big sums of money from the city on a quarterly basis. And so being able to really take advantage of all those funds not being in use, like literally all of it. So again, going back to how we currently have our bank account set up, our PEG balance and our operating and direct assistance accounts are zero, because we want all of the money to be able to earn interest, and not, all of our money minus $1,000, because that's what we have as PEG balance in our bank account. That has, honestly, it's a headache with some of the issues that I've encountered, but it's not that big of a deal that I would want to change the PEG balance from zero to anything else. I would rather that, especially because donations are so down this year, nationally, internationally. Being able to utilize all of our funds and having that earned interest is really just an excellent way to have money work for us. So yeah, our net loss year to date at September 30th is 120,990. So if you want to go now to the notes on page 3, we can go talk about page 3. So let's keep scrolling down right there. Talk about our full-time equivalents. So actuals as of September 30th was 53.5 full-time equivalents. We were budgeted for 57.75. Admin 5.45. That has to do with James being on FMLA. So it's not that we had another admin person. It was just how that shook out in the payroll. I take the payroll hours that was paid and then divide it out through the different categories. I'm going to be asking Accent to restructure how our employees are classified so that admin, program, and operations are going to be fully displayed on the financial statements in that way too. And I think our auditors would be happy as well, because that'll help them with their taxes and they won't have to do so much math. But so Larry, did you say that and just that staffing remains a capacity constraint? And the last thing that I want to talk about is on page 4, the supplementary information that I'm now including in our notes. And these are our volunteer contributions. So through the end of September, we had 461.27 volunteer hours, which represents an estimated $14,000 in in-kind labor. The reason that that's not recorded as in-kind on our financial statements is because they made a change to FASB rules on that. They have to be specialized. So like if an accountant or contractor or whomever contributes their labors, that's what we can recognize on our books as in-kind labor contribution. But for anything else that's general that anybody can do, this is just kind of like a side note. So again, this is good information to have for you all to consider. Also kind of considering, while donations are really important, volunteer contributions are also really important as well.
You can use these numbers on grant applications.
So really, really important for that as well, because they're gonna want to know, what's the community's vested interest in helping our organization achieve its mission, right? So in September we had 42.29 volunteer hours. The service distribution throughout the year has primarily been serving meals or meal prep in some way. You see serving meals, meal prep, breakfast serving. And then we had about 60-ish hours on a shelter assistance or intake assistant too. So like around this time we're receiving night guests, and so we would have volunteers that would help assist them with that process. So operationally, what does that mean? 461 hours amount to about a quarter of full-time equivalent, which again reflects the need that we need for staffing in order to provide the services that we're providing here. And then on the next page is a breakout, January through September. And then also a little graphic that I got from the independent sector, which puts together the valuation of what a volunteer hours value is. And so in Kansas, it's $30.86.
Appreciate you putting this in there. It's great information. I'd be curious if the board would like to learn any more about our volunteer work, maybe at a future meeting. Would that be a topic of interest to anybody?
Who manages volunteers?
Mercedes Rowland currently manages our volunteers, while also doing our HR. She is having a difficult time because that is big task, HR and volunteer. She's not been able to effectively do both, I should say. Not as a detriment to her, but there just isn't enough hours in the day. She is a mom to a toddler, so, you know, and she commutes quite a ways. I commute the most. Let's be honest. I commute the most. But she does commute quite a ways, to work here as well for the shelter.
So,
During too, in that regard, as we get into winter and winter emergency shelter becomes a thing and people are coming in at night. And we need help at night, and some of that help is volunteer who manages
The
the
volunteers.
volunteers. If it's after hours, because there's as many after hours in a day.
Oh, yeah.
There's more after hours in a day, actually.
Yeah, we're nonstop here.
Yeah.
Volunteer management and volunteer supervision are kind of two different things. You know, like volunteer supervision could be any shelter staff member who's sort of MOD or whatever, but volunteer management is more like the coordination, the recruitment, the tracking,
Yep.
the training,
Mhm.
all that other stuff that goes around it rather than just the service.
So Mercedes takes care of coordination. She does get a lot of email traffic from companies, some from KU, asking if we have anything available for their groups to volunteer their time for. And she does, I think, pretty good job of, you know, making sure this is what you can do, this is when you can come in. Our DSAs are really helpful in training the staff. There are some procedures and guidelines for volunteers as well. And we're able to have these hours, because volunteers kind of clock in similarly to employees and in a different system. And so she's the one that's able to put all this information for us to have it on our financial notes.
so I have a question about, I know we outsourced a lot of our HR functions, payroll, etc. What have we retained in-house? What does she do HR?
Mercedes is online. She can
Oh, great.
speak to that if she chooses to.
Mercedes, are you tuned in?
Yeah, I am.
Alright.
So, Shannon, I guess when we're talking about like HR functions, I still have to handle most all of the payroll piece. We have a payroll administrator that makes sure that it, you know, hits everybody's bank account when it is supposed to, but it is still me manually making sure that if somebody missed a punch on their time card, that that's getting corrected. I am also handling if somebody has a situation where, you know, two staff members aren't getting along or something along those lines, I take care of that. If we have issues with somebody needing to change their schedule or go on bereavement leave, I handle that as well. So I still handle a great deal of the HR piece. We have an HR consultant if it's, you know, something beyond my wheelhouse. I can consult with her on you know, hey, this is what I was thinking, and she says yay or nay on how to proceed. But that's kind of the HR piece of things. When it comes to volunteers, I know that John said, you know, who is managing them or supervising them after hours. I work for LCS, so I'm on the clock 24/7, 365. So most all of our volunteers have my cell number. So if they have a question or a concern or something like that, and a DSA can't answer it for them, I do. But currently, our last volunteer shift ends at 9 p.m., 7 days a week. We use Homebase to track all volunteer hours. So if it's a student that needs their hours verified for a class, or we have somebody that's doing their court-ordered community service, I can keep track of it. They're a little bit easier than if it was just, you know, word of mouth or monitoring it via the cameras or something like that. So that's kind of how I do volunteer time management as well. I try to get Karen our volunteer data before the end of the month. But sometimes, you know, we have volunteer groups that are going to come in on the last day of the month too. So within that like first or second week of the following month too. Did that kind
Great.
of answer
That
your
is
question?
super. Yeah, that is super helpful to understand sort of all a fuller picture.
Yeah, and I'm
does
happy
a
to
lot
have a more in-depth
for us.
conversation about it, and I can, answer any other questions you have.
Thanks, Mercedes. I think it's notable here that February, March, that was when it was pretty cold. There were a lot of volunteers helping out, it looks like.
And just want to add that I'm happy to help manage some volunteers too if we get to that point. We use the United Ways sign up, and that's how we got volunteers. And I have people reaching out to me already about helping out too. And I am hiring for part-time folks to help out just in case we need that piece as well.
And that was another question I had from reviewing the packet, because there was a point of, hey, winter's coming, no pun intended, and that the staffing is a real issue. And so if we could kind of get a good sense of how many is that? What does that cost? Because if we're already showing $120,000 deficit, that concerns me. And we need to be diligently working on a plan, whether it's volunteers and staffing, or I don't know what the mix is, but it sounds like something that's urgent and we should be working on.
Thanks, Jen.
Anybody else have any other questions about our finances, financial notes?
All right. Entertain a motion to accept the financial statements.
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to accept September financial statements. If there's no other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Next item is the executive committee report. I will just say, I think most of our conversations have been around the budget, so nothing else. Okay, good. Advisory committee report. James,
That's me, huh?
yeah, you got anything?
I developed a new application, sent it out to maybe 4 or 5 people. I've gotten 3 of them back. And once I get enough to start to say we can start having meetings, get them back, I will have an update for the board of who they are. And maybe, I think I want to meet with all of them one time personally, individually, and do that. So by next month, I should have that done. And so I'm shooting for at least 6 in the beginning, but more, but 6 to get us started, to say we have enough to go forward with the initial board.
Okay. Next is the fundraising committee report. We have met to primarily discuss the recruitment for the board. And then we did kind of review to make sure we communicated back to James and Megan about what the board's table hosting commitments have been. So, but that was pretty much a quick, let's just get them all listed out so we can email that to Megan. The conversations around board recruitment have continued to feels a little bit like we're making progress and then we get the no. So we're definitely talking with people. We interviewed an attorney. It was a great interview, and she needed some time to think it over. Had to consult with her employer also about whether there's any issues around her doing the service on the board. And it was a few days later that she contacted me and said that she has made a decision not to pursue this. So
At this time.
At this time, we've had
throw that in
we've
there.
had a few of these at this times. There is an attorney that I asked her, so not to let her fully off the hook, I asked if she might reach out to another attorney who she works with, who is also a disability rights attorney, I think is how maybe they describe themselves. He works for the Social Security Administration. He's served on other boards like the Visiting Nurses Association, I believe. So she's kind of feeling him out, and so we'll see if he's interested, then we'll convene a meeting. There's a woman who Chicani has had some conversations with, shown interest, and then kind of paused, and then resurrected that conversation just a week or so ago, and we're working on trying to have just more her, she wants to have an informational conversation with us. So I'd say at this point, in terms of the two positions that the board can appoint, we're just still plugging away, would be a way to describe it. Still focused on trying to find someone that brings the kind of a CPA / financial lens to it, and then someone who can bring another attorney lens to the table. In regards to the city position that is open, the city has, I believe, received an application from David Hawley, who is the owner of Papaquinos and also is owner of the Avalon Wellness and Treatment Center. David is, I think it would be a wonderful addition. I've reached out to actually all of the city commissioners just to kind of give them assurance that that would be a great addition to our board. He brings, the perspective that I think we really got from Chuck when he was here. He was not just a business owner, but he also was a downtown business owner. So David, I think, kind of contributes in that way. And I think in addition to that, the fact that he's, taken it upon himself to start a treatment center says a lot about his commitment to addressing issues that are close to, are closely aligned with LCS and the needs in our community. So hopefully that's a appointment that we'll see coming forward, but truly that's on the city to make that decision, on the commission itself to make that decision. Anything else from the fundraising committee? We did have Megan joined us on our last meeting. And so later on the agenda, I was gonna ask that we make Megan an official member of the committee, so just a little prelude to that. All right, let's go down next to unfinished business. So we're not ready to vote on anything tonight, but I do want to keep the 2026 budget kind of in our crosshairs and ask Karen if she might kind of present kind of what the most recent draft is. And this is truly a work in progress, so I don't want anybody to get too excited by it. We're had a conversation with the city, and I think that conversation will be ongoing. But we're still looking at a budget shortfall that we have to reconcile. And the goal is to have a budget that we can adopt by the end of the year. So our December meeting, we should feel a little more ready to say yes to the budget being proposed.
So not much has changed in the revenue section other than I did put again the CDBG money in. So I believe it would be on the next page, yeah. All right, so CDBG funding, 112,858. Again, I still need to have a conversation with our auditors of surrounding revenue recognition, just based on how we do it, how we request a reimbursement. I also, just real quick, to the layperson, because this came up with my dad and he had no idea. So what it means for a grant to be on a reimbursement basis means that if a entity is awarded an amount and they don't spend it all on qualified expenses and therefore can't draw down the whole grant on their reimbursement basis, then it goes back into the pot. It's not like that money just disappears or that entity received all of that money. That's not how that works. So I had to explain that to him because he kind of had his foil hat on and I needed him to remove it. And so I educated him on how that works. So anyway, moving on. Our next biggest adjustment to this budget has been to our professional services. If you want to scroll down there. Kind of put in and took out fundraising things because we'll have a better idea of how things go with the gala next month. So professional services, so professional employer organization, we are speaking to Paychex. And we are still trying to finalize the details on their quote. We had hoped that we would have something for you all presentation wise, so that you guys would feel good about going in a different direction, but going off of, I think it was just their like basic HR and payroll. We wouldn't be on their group insurance. That's another consideration that we need to make. That's probably the biggest advantage for being with a PEO is that when you're on group insurance, you're part of a much larger group and you get more affordable insurance rates with whomever their carrier is or whoever the group insurance is carried through. So, you know, currently we're with Access Group Insurance, but if we were to move to Paychex and not do their PEO, then we would not be part of their group health insurance. So I wouldn't know what that amount is, but I thought I saw in an email that they were talking with their PEO salesperson at Paychex to see if they could do something for us. And I think Access is also working on adjusting it because they don't want to lose our business. Health insurance wise, I think if you're not aware, it's pretty awful what's happening. Health insurance is expected to go up 15 to 20%. And so I've adjusted for that. And I've also adjusted retirement plan contributions. So I kind of want to explain that as also. So our current 401k plan and our current collective bargaining agreement, we'll start with the collective bargaining. So if an employee has 3 years of service with the LCS, they get 2% contributed, whether or not they are contributing themselves. However, for ERISA compliance and the way that our 401k plan is set up, if an employee is contributing to their 401k plan and they have a year of service, we must also contribute 2%. So this is a better deal than what was collectively bargained for.
Better deal for the employee.
I'm sorry?
Better deal for the employee.
For the employee, yes. However, there's a 3-year cliff vesting schedule because of how the collective bargaining agreement is set up. So if the employee after a year starts getting these retirement contributions from us, but they don't make it to year 3, that stays in our pot. So we just pay less. So the retirement plan contributions budgeted amount has gone up significantly because we're gonna have a lot of people that are participating, which is excellent. But they're gonna reach a year, and so we need to plan for that. And so that's all I know, all we really know. There's not much movement. It's still, to me, depressing.
And we did have quotes ready from Paychex. And we know general, we just have to pick a plan with Access, which we don't want to stay with Access. And so we're waiting because Paychex has to find a broker to bid our health insurance because we're not gonna be able to be under theirs. So I think we'll still be looking at a savings of around 50,000.
You could do it, it will just be expensive and not helpful.
Yeah.
There's also independent brokers, I don't know how much you
Yeah.
work, but like ED
I
Insurance,
know.
like there's independent brokers that may be able to do a deal for you.
Yeah. But we're waiting to see what we can get the quotes and then we'll go from there. We're running out of time, so.
Okay. I know we're running over on our meeting time. We don't have the library. We don't have the library telling us it's time to go.
I was going to make one
Make an
up,
announcement?
just so everybody felt at home.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just, thanks for presenting again the budget and appreciate your continued work on this. The next item is board organization development. So I just wanted to make clear to everybody about quorum. In our bylaws, quorum has two components. One of the components is that there has to be representation from all three parties, so the city, county, and the independent directors have to all be there. So we can't have a situation where if there's two city appointees and one doesn't show, we're gonna be okay, but if two don't show, we're actually violating quorum. So that's pretty important to understand. The cities is probably the city has three. So Connie, so it's Connie, Shannon, and then Chuck. So the other part of this that I needed to clarify is, according to our bylaws, someone's position is basically they're in their position until either their replacement is found or they resign. So I've notified both Chuck and Rebecca that since their replacements have not been found, technically they're still on the board. And then I just asked them, how would they want me to manage? Like, do they want to be invited to the meetings, or are they gonna just not attend? And they've kind of given me they don't plan to attend, but if it's essential that they come for us to keep quorum, then let them know. So I think they're trying to kind of not be here, but if we need them, they can step back up. Hopefully the city will get their appointment soon enough, and then Chuck is off the hook. And with Rebecca, that's one of those positions that we have to appoint, so. But what that means is right now we have 8 people that are in position on the board. And 5 of us have to be there by basically the majority of that 8. And of those 5, it needs to have at least 1 city, 1 county, and 1 independent. So just wanted to throw that out there, and this came up because when Megan asked about attending the fundraising committee, I just wanted to be careful because in the past we've always kind of had it, as long as there aren't 3, we're good. And when she came in and said, "Oh, I'd like to come to the meeting," I thought, well, I think we could pull it off, but we got to be careful about it. So went back and read the rules, and you were all good. Turns out that night Rebecca was at the same restaurant where we met.
But not on purpose.
I came over and said hello, and we said thank you, goodbye, and so,
Can't be here.
so we could kind of stay, compliant. So just wanted to clarify that. The other item is Chuck. Essentially, while he's technically still on the board, he's not attending anything, including the executive meetings, so essentially we don't have a vice president, and I wanted to get your thoughts if you're interested in appointing someone else to do that role for the rest of the term, which we normally would do this in January, so it'd really just be, now until we make those officer position appointments. Any thoughts on that? Anyone opposed to making an appointment tonight to put someone in Chuck's place?
I'm not opposed.
Okay. Well, I can't make a motion, but I'll just share kind of the thinking that I've had. I've talked with John about possibly doing this, and John has been supportive of doing that, but he's also indicated that his intention is that he will serve in his second term once the county reappoints him, assuming that goes forward.
I got a letter.
And, oh, you did, so it's
Yeah.
official? Okay, thank you. So he's got another 3-year term, but what his caveat is that's gonna be when he finishes and retires. So one of the considerations I've had is I'm planning to move to South Carolina in 2 years when my older daughter graduates high school, and then I'll join my wife out there. So I'm looking for like, how are we planning ahead to get a transition of our officers so that it doesn't feel abrupt when I'm leaving? And John has told me very clearly, he's not interested in taking on the president role. So I've kind of thought, all right, well, who else is in the space that would say, yeah, I'll become vice president, and I'm open to the idea that I would kind of be preparing for that possibility of being president, so. I don't know if anyone else has contemplated this like I have, but. I know, Megan is the newest kid on the block here, but I know Megan's capacity is completely adequate to take on that role, so I asked her, would she have any interest in stepping into that vice president role, and then potentially like working with, you know, taking that on for the next year or two, and then we could feel like there's a good transition plan. So I haven't talked to both of you at the same
Okay,
time.
So you talked to Megan
So,
about
and
that,
Megan's-
and Megan said,
Megan's very courteous. She'll do whatever the agency needs. So I think really it's just, let's have a group discussion, and if there's support for it, it'd be nice to get a motion to, you know. I think I heard Shannon say it was a dream come true. Thanks, Misty. Anyway, I just wanted to open that conversation, and if there's support for it tonight, I'd entertain a motion to appoint Megan to be vice president.
What Misty heard is me saying, I make that motion.
Okay, thanks, Shannon. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, John. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
just to say it's the best news I've heard all day.
You know, it's always a little tough because, you know, I mean, I think it's really good though. We're thinking ahead and trying to maintain and build our capacity. So I appreciate your willingness to do this, Megan. If there's no other discussion,
For now.
all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. All right, thank you so much. Next item, annual performance review planning. So it's this time that we need to start, probably a little behind, but we need to get something in motion to prepare for reviewing James's performance over the year. You might recall last year, we did a mid-year review, and then we did a end-of-year review. It wasn't very sophisticated. It was mostly, let's do some surveys, collect some input. The mid-year review, we got input from basically from ourselves and from our funding partners. And then at the end of the year, we kind of did a similar, let's get feedback from the board members and from the funding partners. But we then also included feedback from employees who had been with the shelter since prior to James's arrival. So it was, Shannon, I don't know if you're trying to say something.
No.
Okay, so that, the idea there was we wanted staff that had maybe been familiar with life before James to give their input on how have things gone in his first year. So at the end of the second year, it feels like we need to start like locking in, like, what is this gonna look like every year? And because Shannon is an executive director and Megan has been an executive director, I reached out to them and said, would you be willing to work on like building what this process should look like? Not only for this year, but also just like for the long haul. How do we want to more properly give feedback and continue to provide the right supervision to the executive director position? So they both agreed to do that. And I was hoping you guys would agree to that too, we could formalize it tonight. Does that seem like a decent plan? Or?
So would we be So they're gonna work on it, format it, put it together, but it would still be a decision of the board? or
Yeah, I
is
think
it-
what I was thinking is we would ask the two of them to just basically create themselves as a committee, so we point them to the annual performance review committee. And then they would develop some sort of process that they could bring back to us, and I don't know exactly their timeline. But that would kind of give us, a workable plan that we could all look at and say, yeah, this looks great, and then we implement it. And I don't know if you guys had any conversation much to think about where you're thinking, like timeline, because I know
We
initially.
don't really have a timeline,
Okay.
but we do understand that there is timeliness here. So I think we were waiting on some documents and then we were gonna reconvene. So we have that now. So Shannon and I will, before the next board meeting, we'll have something to show you.
And I think we could, have the, I'll continue to engage you guys however you need, but. The idea is we need to get past we need to get this done, let's go do a survey. It's like it probably is a little more formalized and.
It needs to be consistent year over year.
And yeah, and then it
Right,
becomes,
something that we can guide us, but we don't know exactly what that looks like, or are we
I'm-
implementing it?
You will,
Totally.
we'll bring you a
yeah,
template.
yeah.
We'll say, here's what we think we need to do, and then as a board, we will
Decide if that's
Yeah,
right,
okay.
and decide if we like it.
so so you were here, when we did all that, I think one of the
I think I was here for
the December one? Yeah, you were, yeah. So I think what was, perhaps,
for the last review. Yeah,
yeah, because she had just been appointed.
that just.
One of the things that was obvious just in the questions I was getting, when I threw this idea out was, where's the written goals for 2025? Like, well, I don't know that we had developed any of that. We kind of had a discussion in June of 2024 about what are the challenges and we're facing, and what do we see on the horizon in the next 6 to 18 months? So that's maybe a proxy for what the goals were. I mean, I think we all knew the goal was, like, year one was about kind of riding the ship. Year two was about building, the capacity, but we didn't put that ever in writing, so it's kind of one of those. At the end of the year, when you're reviewing this performance. It feels would have been better had we said, here's what your goals are. And the goals were kind of articulated in the initial job opportunity announcement. And it honestly, in some ways, took about 2 years to get most of that done. So I don't know that we're.
Well, and honestly, the goal was, could you please patch the hole in the bottom of the boat?
Yeah, and then we need to
If
build-
we're just being really, really honest, we're in a really different position than we
Right.
were when we hired James, and we've come a huge, long way. And so now, to Megan's point, we need to sort of, our focus was, hey, keep all the staff from quitting and open it up so people can be there. And which is quite basic, but it hadn't been done for a really long time, and he did an excellent job of getting that. And I think what Megan and I are saying is, okay, now we need to turn and say, where is this boat going now that it's floating fine?
And I'm not opposed to a performance review or, what that looks like and where it's going. I just don't want to vote on it before we see it.
No,
Oh, yeah, you need
Oh,
to-
yeah, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm, okay.
No,
I just
step
want to
one.
make sure it's, I don't want to
No,
put
I-
us in a situation where,
Yeah,
okay.
I think what I was imagining, I mean, ultimately it comes back to the whole board, but I just wanted to see if they'd be willing to, put pen to paper to think, what's that process look
Look
like?
like, cause they
And
both
then-
have had that role.
We're gonna
Yeah.
take a crack at the first draft.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think also including a component of fundraising and strategies and goals, because I think we were talking about what that looked like when we got onto the board and the expectations. You've gone through an iteration of things, including navigating how to deal with unions and things. And so that wasn't part of your job description, I'm sure. We didn't have that on interview questions, but we had to come do this iteration of understanding what our needs are and what our communities are and what our organization needs are. And so strategies to improve what could look like fundraising efforts and strategies to those things. Definitely be some questions that were going to be on those evaluation reports that weren't there before, I imagine, as you were constructing those.
So can I get a motion to create a annual performance review committee and appoint Megan and
Can I
Shayla?
just say I make that motion?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, thanks, Christine. If there's no other discussion, can I get a vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thanks, Megan and Shannon, for taking that on.
Thank you.
And next item is the fundraising committee edition. I mentioned this earlier. The fundraising committee would like to add Megan to the committee. Yes,
Need a motion for that?
yes, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Look at that. All right. Motion's been made and seconded to add Megan to the fundraising committee. There's no other discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Are there any other updates from board members or any other items for the board to consider? All right. The last item on our agenda before adjourning is an executive session. This will be just with the board itself. Can I get a motion? I've drafted it for you if you'd like to.
So
I think it might take 15 minutes.
Do-
Go ahead and do that motion. Oh,
if we're going to adjourn immediately after, do we have to put a,
By law, we have to go back
Okay.
into open session after
Okay,
executive session.
okay.
Yep.
You're gonna take that on? Okay, I'll go ahead.
Oh, you know, have at it, but do you know how much time do you?
I'd say 15 minutes is the max. Do you guys want to say 10? You know, basically reconvene at 8:10
Okay.
in public, in open session.
And I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss a matter involving non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319. B1, the purpose is to protect the privacy interests of the individual involved. The board will reconvene in an open session at the LCS conference room and on Zoom at 8:10 PM. No binding action will be taken during the executive session or following its conclusion. Participants in the executive session will include board members, both in person and remote.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, all in favor of the motion to go into executive session, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. All right, we're back into our open session. And there was no action taken, or there's no action to be taken at this point, other than adjourning. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
We got Chaconi? Okay. All right, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned at 8:11. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.